So it should be that eventually your aim is that it won't matter. So if Massimo centers in an intention, put a good feeling in your center, expand into your space. Now put the power plane onto me. Yeah, okay, so yeah, good. So now as I put pressure here, it feels a certain way. And then as I change that pressure here, how does it feel?
Pretty much the same way.
It's the same. Yeah, because now the structure takes in the pressure in any direction. So if I demonstrate, if he attacks the center of my circle, let's just really put some pressure on. Yeah. So structurally, there's a certain amount of pressure it can take until it might collapse, right? Whereas if I can go center and state, then it won't matter. And then he can change the angle as well of the pressure, and it won't matter. It can deal with pressure in any direction now, because it's a unified whole that's targeted back to him correctly. So structures are important to a point. I just don't want you to get stopped there in your mind. Remember how we do strength, structure, state. You must master structure, good shapes, good alignment, yeah, throughout, and dealing with the rims as opposed to the faces. But then you've got to go beyond that, yeah, if you want to increase your power, especially as we get older. Good. Any other observations or questions?
So within bomb cell, that shouldn't always stretch. It should always be close.
That's a good question. So structurally, it should never stretch. So I was saying to Mr. Handman earlier, when he was performing his bong sao, he was coming a little narrow with his bong sao in the form, narrow with the elbow in the hand, and long as well. So see how he's quite extended. So I was like, okay, no, you should be more just over right angle and closer, right? So not so extended, and also more arcing, more wide, right? So that you're covering the outside gate. Hans' question was, what was your question there?
It's like you don't extend out like that too much.
Depends. So it's a good question. If you're thinking purely structural, it's going to be more robust here, structurally, right? More robust, generally speaking, because it's a structurally stronger shape here than it is here or here. Does that make sense, right? So at that point, but, that's where the but comes in, you know? Not that kind of but you get what I mean. So Hans is quite robust here. He's got quite a good structure, quite a good shape, right? And then if he extends it further out, and I put a similar pressure, yeah, still kind of robust, but not as. You can feel
You can feel it.
more, yeah, right?
Yeah.
But if he centers in intention, get a good feeling in the center, sense the whole space, expanded, target to my center. Don't push, that's pushing.
Right.
Target, just go, I want to walk through that center there. Yeah, like this. Yeah, feel how now, as I put that pressure on. Yeah? Yeah. How does that feel?
Nothing.
Exactly. So that's the structure stage. Structure requires certain positions and shapes, which is where a lot of people in Wing Chun and martial arts stop. They get to structure and they stop because they're unaware there's another level. Whereas what my master demonstrated was the next level. State. Mastery of the mind and the energy so that you can maximize power in all positions.
But the formal is this first.
In the form, it's here because you're mastering structure.
And then structure and then the strike. Well, this one is there and you follow through. Is that in?
Are you talking about the form sequence?
So the
or?
form sequence is fine.
Yeah.
I understand the structure. You can follow that because it follows through. But then in normal defense, you would go block, strike.
Yeah, so if you think of it like, it's going to be more robust in certain positions depending on what you're doing. So let's just say Mr. Handman's working in terms of structure. This structure would work better keeping me on the rim, right? If he was purely a structural guy. Because if you're just thinking, okay, Tai Gong and sense, that's usually what structure is, right? I'm sensing my structure, right? This line on the outside of the rim is going to be quite robust, yeah? Quite robust. But this one, not so robust, because I attack the face, right? Right? So if, as he goes to extend, to answer your question, he keeps me on the rim, then that's going to be quite robust, because he's kept me on the rim. But that's if he can keep me on the rim. You know what I mean? If as he stays in center, sense structure, as he goes to extend, trying to keep me on the rim, but I do this, yeah, that might collapse his structure if I'm more skillful or if I just time it well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So structure, if I just go structure, if I try to reach through here, yes, it will be easier if I maintain that rim position, but if he starts to attack down, it's not going to be as easy now, right? But if I go state, I go center, sense, sync. See, I'm no longer relying on structure. Then if he goes to push down now, doesn't matter because I can draw that pressure into my system correctly and rebound it. State's the next level, you get it? So we look at Han doing it now. He knows, okay, structurally I can extend, but that requires me to be intelligent with the contact point. I want to make sure they stay rim-based, all right? there's like a midpoint between structure and state, where it's like structural state, where some people can actually deal with a lot of pressure in the wrong position, but you know, generally they can be weakened as opposed to someone who's full state mode, so to speak. So if now Mr. Handman goes into center and intention, good feeling quality, yeah, and keeps it on me, already I can see that I can now put pressure downward. Do you feel how this down pressure still doesn't affect you?
Doesn't affect me,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good, yeah.
Because what happens is the whole structure starts to deal with the pressure, not just the shape, the whole structure, and the incoming pressure can be absorbed and rebounded depending on how good his state is, meaning it can come back into him and be pointed back, or just rebound straight back. And that's, I don't know exactly why, what the mechanics is of that, but you can see it on scales. So that's how you know it actually is happening. So you guys might have seen that video of me doing it with Noah, where I push all the force into Noah, and there's another one of where he puts the state on and the weight doesn't change. So it gets higher when he's absorbing, and it stays approximately the same when he's rebounding. Does that make sense? So you can see that that the force doesn't actually penetrate the body, which is what was happening then. The force wasn't penetrating Han's body. So what Han can observe is that as he goes centered, senses his space, targets towards me, good. Now I put pressure on, yeah, pressure on. He'll feel that it doesn't feel like it's actually going to the feet as much as if you go structure. Go structure again, so center and sense only. Now notice the feeling in your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel how your
You
feet,
feel is absorbing the...
yeah. So as I put pressure on and into him, he'll feel that there's like a pressing of the feet. Compared to when he's rebounding, stayed on, point towards me, expand, good feeling. Yeah. Notice how the pressure in the feet isn't nowhere near as much.
Yeah, I can still go on both of my feet.
Yeah. Structure versus state. Get it? Interesting, right? So to bring that point back, structurally, yes, you can still do that, right? But you're going to have to make sure that they're somewhat connected to the rim for robustness in your structure.
And the timing needs to be right. Is it,
Yeah, there is a little bit of timing, but your reflexes should be developed from Chi Sao, so the arm should naturally catch that rim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 'Cause so structurally, Wing Chun's still quite powerful. But, you know, why go for good when you can go for the best, right? State, right, will not rely on their contact point being in an appropriate point. It won't matter. As long as there is contact to prevent them hitting you. Yeah. Make sense? Good. Alrighty, any other questions? Thank you. We'll just take a 2-minute break.